Hello and welcome to the Elsie Black Oral History Project. My name is Eileen Hyland. This project is all about sharing and preserving the real life stories of people living in social housing in Ireland, with a focus on fluid housing. We want to highlight the everyday experiences, the memories and the voices of residents, the stories that often go unnoticed. It's about recognising the value of these communities and making sure their stories are heard and remembered. Today is the 6th of May 2025 and we're talking with Liz Keohane from Millcourt in Bandon, County Cork.
My name is Elizabeth Keohane. I was born in Phuca, which means the fort of the fairies or the fort of the ghost, on a farm out the country near Bandon. I was born at home on the 20th of the 11th, 1958. Born in the parlour, which was the birthing room.
Right, and tell me a bit about your parents and your family. Did you have siblings? Was there
I'm
others?
one of 11. My parents both died very young. My mum died when I was 13. She was only 56. And my father drowned when I was 20.
Oh my goodness.
So that was... Yeah, but I had plenty siblings, loads of huge amount of relations. But it was tough that time. And I moved into Bandon sharing a flat with somebody.
Okay, grand.
So that was I did spend all my childhood up to age 20 at home,
Okay,
apart from working away places.
lovely. So tell me a bit about the home that you grew up in.
Farmhouse, 3 big rooms downstairs, 2 huge bedrooms upstairs and 2 smaller. No bathroom when I was young. No, I remember going to the well for water, so obviously we don't water either. But I had a very happy childhood.
And would you have had electricity?
We actually had gas lighting at one stage. I said we were really ahead of the times. We had gas lighting. I do remember getting the electricity, but what age I was, I haven't a clue.
That's great, Liz, thanks.
Yeah.
So you had a big farmhouse and
Yeah, and big families.
yeah, big families.
Yeah.
And was there a strong sense of community where you lived?
There was, yeah.
So tell me a
And
bit
the
about
neigh-
how that came about, or how
We seemed to be the only person with a phone. I don't know why we were so advanced about that. But a farmer down Boreen or miles away there could be a ring a message for him, and I'd be sent to give the message. And there was one particular farm, the lane in was so long, I was dread having to walk that far.
with neighbours, would people come around
They
and help?
would, when there was haymaking and different things, they'd get together. But no, when we were all born, my mother had somebody coming in to help.
Yeah.
She was alive a long, long time after my parents.
Wow.
Yeah.
And things like, I suppose, when somebody died, there'd be a lot of community.
Yeah.
Would there be wakes
Yeah.
and...
Yeah. Oh, the room my mother died in is the room we were all born in. So, actually, the time of her wake, we had no electricity. There was a power cut. So that there was candles, and it made it a bit more gloomy than it should have been.
You just mentioned there when you left, but I didn't take note of it. So why did you leave and when did you leave?
Why did I leave
Your home?
my home? I left in 1979. My dad drowned in February 1979, and I stayed at home for a while with one brother, and then both of us were kind of spooky being there. So he went to stay with a brother and I went to stay with a sister, and about a month later I was sharing a flat with a girl that was working with a sister-in-law of mine. We were total strangers when we shared the flat, but we got to know each other.
And so you moved from Phuca then
Phuca into Bandon,
Into
yeah,
Bandon. Okay, all right. And did you stay there long then? Is that?
No. that was, my father died in February, so we'll say I moved in there in March, maybe. My 21st was in November, and sometime shortly afterwards I was pregnant.
So that was a big change.
So that was a big change.
Yeah, grand. Okay.
So I actually ended up then, I think it was the 1st of June, 1980, that I went to live in England with the father of my son.
Yeah.
And we were in Huddersfield. Now that was 1st of June. Shane was born the 3rd of September. And I was back in Ireland maybe 2-3 weeks before Christmas.
Oh.
We came back together. But when I had backup, I soon got rid of him because he was handy with his fists.
Oh, dear.
Yeah.
All right. So you felt more comfortable back home when
Yeah,
you knew people and you had some support.
Like one night that he hit me now in my sister's house, I just let a roar out of me, and my brother-in-law and my sister came down. So following, he went out the door, and then he came back the following evening and kicked the door or hit the door coming into the kitchen and nearly broke it. Well, he did break where he hit it, and I dashed up the stairs with Shane, my sister's 2 children. She had a little boy of 2. She was going to ring the guards. I said, take John. I knew I couldn't take him up the stairs. So the guards were there in no time at all. And when they spoke to me, they said, is that the guy with the red car? Because one night I had walked out down towards Ballincollig, and he followed me. He says, get into the car. And I did I sat into the back, and we were near a garage, and someone from the garage came along and shone a torch in, obviously to check that I was okay. So that's how they knew it was someone with a red car. He was on their radar.
Yeah.
So the guards just said to me, are you married to this man? And I said, no. And he says, no problem. Because when they were saying to him, you'll have to leave, he said, I have a child here. And they said, oh, take your child. And my sister said, that's a tiny baby. So anyway, we won't dwell on that too much.
That's fine. Well, thanks for sharing that with me.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that you went through all that.
Yeah.
It sounds like you're very resilient and you came out the other end.
I do. I bounced back.
Good for you. Good for you. Okay. So when did you move in here?
2009. But I was living in a council house for about 21 years before I moved in here. Gave that back, which helped me get in here. Oh. But it wasn't... Now, when I saw this place being built and I heard about it, I was thinking, wouldn't that be lovely, because I got a 3-bedroom council house for me and Shane. So, even cleaning the blooming thing was too much effort. Painting it, and I had 3 neighbours who were inside my house drinking coffee a lot. And then when my son got married, they kind of all turned against me, the 3 of them.
So I can see that it was time for a change, really.
It was. So I was actually above in GF, the psychiatric ward. I'm bipolar. I was actually in the psychiatric ward possibly, maybe it was 2008. And there was a social worker, and I was mentioning to her about the neighbours that I dreaded. They used to be always calling in, and suddenly I was on my own every night. And the social worker wrote a letter, and I was telling her more that leaving them was one of the good reasons. And she said, I won't actually put that in, but she mentioned how my home was well looked after and different things. She wrote it very well.
Right.
And then I was interviewed, and I was asking the rent man, should I drop the key? He called to me here. He said, I'll collect it. But I did have to sign a form and saying that I was no longer on a council list.
Lovely. So
Yeah.
it was a nice move.
Oh,
for
it
you.
was.
Yeah.
It was.
Great.
It was lovely.
Great.
Everything was brand new, but then the flood put a damper on it, of course.
Your first impressions of coming in here then
Oh, wow. I was after putting in a shower cubicle above in the house and a new white kitchen. And I'd say it was less than 12 months, it was way less. And when I came in and I saw just the way, it was the next apartment here, number 3, we were all shown. And I remember thinking, oh, wow, this is going to be nice.
So what does home mean to you?
Home means being content. And I am. Most of the time.
That's lovely. That's really nice.
Happiness is overrated, I always say. I strive for contentment.
So I know you mentioned about some of the other houses that you lived in. You lived in the council house.
I lived in a
town.
mobile home at one stage too. When Shane was 2 till 5. On my brother's acre. That didn't work out too well because his first wife, was another bit of a...
And you got a council house then out of that?
No, I actually moved from there to Cork for a while. I was staying with someone, a man. And after that I was that kind of couch surfing, as they call it nowadays.
Yeah.
So everyone in my family went to someone to get me a house, get me a council house that I'd taken in any condition whatsoever. And I was staying with one sister, and I remember I was inside in bed, not even wanting to get out of the bed. And the phone rang, and it was my sister was out at the back of the house. And when I answered the phone, my brother said, your new address is number 49 Richmond Court. And I goes, all right. Without told my sister, she started jumping up and down with joy. I was just, okay, I didn't care. I was just on a downer.
Yeah. The next question is, what difference did it make to get a home with Fluid?
I did ask at the interview, would I be as secure here as I was in my council house, that as long as I paid the rent I wouldn't be thrown out, and I was assured I would be. So that was important. The flood kind of put a dampener on the whole lot, and I was in the apartment above me, which was empty. I was up there for about 6 months. Like the flood was the 19th of November, the night before my birthday. And I think it was May the following year before the place was ready and I came back down. Now there was fierce problems with the heating here, which was a big issue with a lot of people. I came home from a roaring fire Christmas Day it must have been 2010, into no heating. It was thick ice, and it was my son's sister-in-law was dropping me off at the door, and I put my leg out and I was slipping, and I said, you're driving me down. I have another door down here, see, on account of being on the ground floor. And I got out and I went inside the door, turned on the heating, I was frozen and no heating. So I got on to a great friend and neighbour that I had in number 3. And I said, I was messaging her. I said, what happened? Have we any heating? No, she said, no one has it. And she told me afterwards that I said, well, feck to it. And I was effing and blinding. But what she told me afterwards was that when people rang up to it to say we had no heating and ice on the ground, the answer they got was, do you not know what day it is? Which wasn't a very good answer for older people.
Exactly. So what has been the biggest change for you coming here to live?
I suppose so convenient to the town, and like I had the choice of staying upstairs that time, but I came down because when I used to get my shopping delivered, it used to be, I have a door down there. Now I go with my sister and she can drop me down. I'm home in no time at all. If I happen to go out late at night, which is rare now, if I get a taxi home, I'm inside the door and I feel so safe. I have never felt so safe, I'd say, anywhere. when I'd go into the 3-bedroom house on my own, I'd be nearly looking under the beds. Whereas once I'm inside the door, I'm in my living room, and I know I'm inside and the door's closed behind me.
So what do you love about your home or the neighbourhood here?
I just love the apartment. They are lovely apartments. Now, when they did fix up after the flood, there was still tide marks around the place. So I think it was 2013, I got the whole place painted and put down some new carpets. So it was kind of new again then. Yeah, and that's the year my son came back from Australia. He went for a year and stayed 5.5. So I came home in September 2013.
So have your living conditions improved or worsened over the years?
They've improved because the heating does work now. So at the moment anyway.
How do you think people outside the community look at people who live here?
Oh, I've never thought, I think people would love, most of my friends and different people say they'd love to live here. And some people ask me, what do we have to do to get in? And I just say, you have to be on a council list, that's all I know. But the only thing about the building that would be the fact that I'm on the ground floor is perfect. But as you get older, who wants to be upstairs? If there was a fire, you're not meant to use the lift. There are some people, there was one lady who was using a stroller. Now she has passed away with maybe 6 months, might be more. But when there's a fire, what are you supposed to do? Now, I did say that to Joanne one time, and she said, in a case like that, you're to just wait to be rescued. I'd imagine out the window, a fireman to come in for you.
Okay.
But we did have a fire here, like number 6 went
Really?
on fire. Yeah, it was very bad.
Gosh, okay. Yeah, it's a worry, it's a concern.
It is.
It's good to know what the procedure should be.
Yeah.
Of course.
And
'Cause
I switch off everything at night.
Yeah, well, you're lucky you're on your ground floor.
Yeah,
Great,
I
isn't
can
it?
get out fast. I've 2 doors to run to.
Yeah. So, have you ever felt judged or treated differently because you're living in a council house?
In the council house? Yeah. That same lighting, you know what? Before I ever moved into a council house, I remember when I was visiting her and my brother, and her youngest daughter was coming home on the bus, and she got someone scratched her with their nails, and she was saying, oh, those children from Clancool, God knows what she'll pick up now off that. And Clancool is the whole area, Richmond Court is the newer part. So I thought, you snob, like, what pity. For goodness sake, you'd think there were going to be filthy nails up there just because they live there.
What kind of a community existed here when you moved
It
in?
was brilliant at the start, and then it dwindled and it dwindled. We had a big party with a one-man band the first Christmas, or probably the second, the first. But now, when Joanne was here, she'd have a coffee morning, and anyone then with questions or anything, they could go to the office. Now we've no one. I'd love to see a coffee morning once a month. I would, because it would. Now, at one stage, it was on the same few people came, but I would like to see that because this room is so lovely and it's hardly ever used.
Right. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Do you have anything here to help build a sense of community? I know Joanne used to organise the coffee mornings, but was there anything else? Was that the only thing? I suppose Paul does a bit of gardening and.
Paul kind of retired from the gardening. He's helping out. Oh, there's someone planting. Have you seen out that way?
Not yet,
Oh, you
no.
must go for a look.
Yeah.
It was derelict. Now, Olive, my friend who lived in number 3, who passed away in 2017, and a guy from the top floor, they walked the whole garden all the way down. Then, when she died, he didn't do it. He's in a nursing home. And they planted so much stuff that it was totally overgrown. It looked terrible.
How important has a sense of belonging been for you?
It is important, yeah, and I do belong here.
What do you wish people understood about life in social housing?
Just how secure we are.
If you could send a message to decision makers or developers, what would it
Build
be?
more apartments, 1 bed and 2 bed. I'm listening to it on the radio. That's what's needed. A lot of people are on their own or they're a couple. Their children have grown and gone, so why do they want all their big houses? They want 2-bedroom bungalows or 2-bedroom apartments.
Absolutely, and it's been a great move for you.
Oh,
To go.
definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely
I think-
worked out perfect.
If they had more of this type of accommodation,
Yeah.
Sure, it would be such a relief.
It
You
would.
felt a great
It
sense
would.
of relief coming here,
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Yeah.